I'm with you.
2 hours. And it's against state law. 25 feet from above the building. It's just above the building. They have to listen. Just because.
Hello. Okay.
I got your reading. Did you? I reacted.
No, I didn't see it.
No, I said that's my reading. I don't know if you can.
That TV's all set.
Yeah.
Good evening. Today is Monday, June 15th, 2026. This is for the regular Board of Selectmen's meeting. Before we start, 1 week ago tonight, our community lost a vibrant business owner, member of Economic Development Commission, and mother to a case of domestic violence. In her honor, I'm somberly creating the Carrie Stetson Community Impact Award to be presented annually to an individual or business who represents Carrie's legacy and community commitment and involvement. More details on that will be forthcoming. I'd like to request a moment of silence for Carrie Stetson. With that, call the meeting to order.
Troy Lemire.
Kevin Bishop.
Paul Marino.
Paul Harrington.
Todd Archelashi.
Claude Albanesius.
William Hester.
Cheryl Heffernan McGlynn.
William Pozo.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, the agenda review.
Mr. Mayor, I do have 2 items I'd like to see if the board could add to the agenda tonight. The first one being, we did get an email from the superintendent this morning, maybe mid-afternoon. They are going into admin negotiations for contracts, and she had asked for if a Board of Selectmen member would be interested in observing those, I thought it would be an idea of obviously putting it on the agenda and letting the board decide, who should observe.
Okay, we can add that under item 8A, correspondence.
A correspondence of BOE. And then one last one, today is the cutoff of all POs. I would like to add an additional transfer to be fiscal year 2026-25. I do have copies of it. When we get to it, we could put it under, my recommendation, put it under, it would be the new K and shift everything down because we're taking care of all those line items, so.
Okay.
So those are the two requests that we have from my office.
Can we have a motion to add those two items?
Mr. Mayor, today's June 15, 2026 now.
He pointed that out.
Oh, you did?
Yes, yeah. I'm going backwards.
I move that we add those two items to the agenda.
Thank you, Paul. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous. Item 4, approval of the minutes of our regular meeting on June the 1st, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion, corrections, additions, subtractions? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Item number 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. May speak once. Does anyone wish to speak? Come on up. Glenn, did you do a sign-up sheet this week? Okay. Just hit the mic. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Aubrey English, 97 Hinsdale Avenue. I know you guys are going to be talking this evening about, on the agenda, about possibly renaming a street, or the ideas around that too. When I was at work a couple weeks ago, I watched the meeting there, and I felt the frustration of the speaker who talked about wanting to rename New Street Veterans Way. I also understand the act of Congress it can go through to have to rename a street and all with different addresses, or residents as well too, there too. What I would like to just ask that you would, the board to kind of keep in mind, or possibly consider, is possibly instead of naming the street itself, adding a sign there as an honorary street name for that street. I'll give you 3 examples here in Connecticut. I don't have my glasses on me. In Middletown, there was an honorary name of Prince Mortimer Avenue, which was added to a section of Rapallo Avenue to honor a formerly enslaved man who walked this path every day to work. In Bridgeport, New London, there are honorary signs for Martin Luther King Jr. that were placed on sections of roadways such as Stratford Avenue in Bridgeport and Coleman Street in New London. In Bridgeport, there's the Jimmy W. Jones Way and Linda Cervero Way added to post along John Street and Stratford Avenue to honor prominent community advocates. Especially this being the 250th coming up here, I think it's very important that any way we can honor our veterans, instead of just saying the blanket thank you for your service, we should seriously look at. And I think just to be able to add a sign to New Street, like underneath it or above it, that says Veterans Way, Veterans Boulevard or Street, however the board or proper commission would want to do this, I think would be should be very well considered. I think it's just. Oh, okay. I was losing my train of thought. I would even go as far to to not even make not have any cost to any taxpayers for any signs. I would be more than happy if this was to go through to spearhead a fundraising effort to raise for a couple of signs to be posted on those streets as well. as I said, that's just for your consideration when you talk about it, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else wish to speak? Item?
Mr. Mayor, I know what the next item is, it's town manager's report. I do see a longtime business owner here with us who is on the agenda. We have a few lengthier items to go through before. It would be my recommendation to the board that we do move up item A on the agenda for right now, and we could do what we brought Mr. Nero in to do tonight.
I'll make a motion to move it.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Paul.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
I am doing well, sir. I'll try to keep the fingerprints off of it. On behalf of of the Board of Selectmen, Town of Winchester, for your 40-plus years in business as the Gilson Theater, we wanted to show appreciation and thanks to you by presenting you with this plaque. For generations, families have enjoyed movies at your theater, and we wanted to recognize your dedication and your hard work to the town of Winchester. Thank you. Let's open it up to the rest of the board.
If I may say just a few words, it was 41 years ago that I came to this, or I started that business. And if it wasn't for our local fire marshal and our building inspector at that time, I would never have succeeded. So I'm hoping that this town will give the new owners the same appreciation and dedication that they gave me to make sure that that goes on and continues to be one of your viable places in town. And I think they have a great idea, and I hope it's gonna go strong. So thank you all. I don't know a lot of you, I'm sorry, but, I've been here and I loved everything I did, but it's time for me to move on. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else on the board wish to say, speak anything?
I shared last time when we had a Board of Selectmen meeting, back in the 60s, when I was a kid, we used to come down and do Saturday matinee at the Strand. Saw a lot of really good movies there, been to the Gilson quite a few times, so I appreciate everything you've done for the
I
town.
also asked Lacey to come with me because she started a little Mexican restaurant with me 20 years ago. And unfortunately, that's part of our business that is closed, but she needs some recognition. We all deserve it. Thank you all.
We're gonna miss you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll miss being there, believe me. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Item 6, town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again, good evening, board. Quickly run through a few items that I thought were important to mention tonight. First one, 2 weeks ago, Selectman Lemire mentioned that some signs were ordered and DPW was refusing to put them up. We immediately jumped on that. The signs are the Wayfair signs that we had ordered through ARPA money and through some other grant programs. Those signs are finalized. I believe they are here now. What we're waiting for now is a permit from the DOT to put those signs up. And I know, Troy, you and I spoke about that, but I also wanted to update the board and obviously our community that the signs weren't just antique shops, but they were Wayfair signs. They're meant for a lot of walking. There's maps on them, and they list several of our businesses around town, and there'll be a few of them popping up. Moving on, 508 Main Street, happy to report the electrical has officially been disconnected. So that's exciting. I will note that before demolition plans that are going to happen in the very soon future, that the developers, Jerry in particular, did loan the building off to the Winsted Fire Department for a quick training exercise. very important building. You know, we want to obviously keep our fire department as trained as possible. So you'll see the fire department in there. Don't be alarmed. There's not a fire in there. They're doing a training. And then shortly after that, the building will be coming down. Speaking of the fire department, the Winston Fire Department has implemented a minimum participation standard policy to establish clear expectations for member involvement and ensure operational readiness. This was presented by the chief, supported by the entire officers, and then supported by all the firefighters as well. Under the policy, active responding members must meet annual minimum requirements for emergency responses, training, and department meetings. To remain in good standing, separate standards have been established to support the services, cadet, and behavioral health units of the department. The policy also provides flexibility for members facing medical, military, work-related, family hardships that are case-by-case exceptions approved by the chief of police. So we know life does happen sometimes. It's not an all or nothing, but it does need approval by the chief. Moving on, automatic traffic enforcement, the speed camera program implementation is imminent into the future. We are continuing to meet on a weekly basis with the vendor, the police department, and obviously my office. We are in the final stages of this actual being implemented. Our goal is to go live mid-July, as we've talked about several times. When we go live, the first 30 days is just going to be issued warnings. After 30 days, then it becomes citations. So look for citations to be issued sometime in the middle of August. Right now, what we're working on our end is perfecting the letters, the citations, making sure that the verbiage is clear, making sure it hits all state statutes, everything like that. We're not reinventing the wheel at all on these. We're following what state statute says it has to be on it. I did want our logo slightly bigger on the citations. We were able to get our logo slightly bigger. And the other thing that I tried to get done is the mailing of these is done by SiteStream. I wanted them actually mailed from Connecticut because they would get to people's houses quicker. Unfortunately, they would not agree to that. They're in a mailing house up in Massachusetts. They do believe that once we've approved those tickets, they should be in households within 5 days. I was trying to narrow that down to 2 days. We approve it, print it, and if you're mailing it from Connecticut, it'd be a lot quicker, but I lost out on that one. 26 year-end closeout. As you can see, there's a ton of transfers to deal with later on in the meeting, but we've begun the process of closing out fiscal year 26. Internally today actually marked the final day for department heads to submit requisitions and obtain purchase orders for goods and service to be charged to this current fiscal year that ends June 30th. Over the coming weeks, the finance department will process final invoices, complete necessary transfers to address any key and deficits, with a final fund balance position expected to be known following the annual audit later this year. As a reminder, fiscal year 2027 begins July 1st. We can say that because we have a budget. Thank you to our taxpayers for their continued support, timely payments of taxes and fees. It allows us to continue our operations. And I'm going to add thank you to our finance department. They've done Herculean efforts continuously with everything that they have going on. Safe Streets for All, if you're following along with that, Ty and Bond will host the first public information session on Thursday, June 25th at 5 p.m. in the Hicks Room to present the results of the survey that closed end of May. From there, we're going to grab some residents' comments as well, and they're going to start forming this report. And remember, participation in this is vital. Because if we can get a report that we can provide to the state and the federal government, we can unlock millions of dollars for infrastructure roadway repair. So if you're not busy on Friday, June 25th at 5 p.m., please come. It's right here in this room. Water treatment plant generator failure. Just wanted to let the board know that last week we had the generator fail at the plant, and by fail, it no longer worked. And if you know anything about sewer plants, if we lose power, we have about 2 hours, and then we're gonna have real big problems on our hand. We all got together, we fixed the problem. We have a temporary generator up and running right now over at the sewer plant, with obviously the goal of replacing that and getting a brand new generator in there. But it stresses, and I want to read exactly what I wrote. It stresses that we have to address our capital needs, because if you lose a generator, and we weren't in the ability to move as quickly as we are, and we did lose power in this town, that means none of the stuff that you're flushing down toilets and sinks is getting processed, and it's all going to back up. So this is a critical infrastructure that, you know, this generator well outlived its lifespan, but it was something that we, you know, it failed and we had to address. So keep that in mind whenever we're talking about capital items. You can kick that can for just so long, but eventually they're gonna fail and it could mean big problems for us. And lastly, Sue Grossman Greenway, Planning and Development. We're kind of in a holding pattern right now. Cardinal and Engineering is out doing the design of all of this. We're still waiting to hear from the DEEP grant to see if we're gonna get $750,000 from that. I haven't talked about it lately because we're still in this holding pattern. We're trying to determine, Cardinals, exactly where this trail is gonna go. We're gonna meet some more, but we're in this holding pattern for right now. From there, we're gonna have a project. That trail's gonna get done. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to the board.
Questions for town manager?
We have a rented temporary generator going there now, is that?
We have a rented temporary generator right now. I will note that if we end up putting a PO in for a new generator with this particular company, they will give us the rental for free. And that's 6 months to almost 8 months of a generator.
It takes
So-
6 months to get a new one?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you just don't have on a shelf. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it takes a while.
What's the KW needs of that?
600. Mr. Rollins here, I'm gonna look over to him, but we talked about it, I try to remember, I think it was 600 KWs and 800 watt, am I right, Jim?
600 kW, yeah.
And 800 watts, right?
No, 600 kW, 480 volt.
480 volt, that's what I was looking for, sorry, 480.
We have one in Norfolk that standby for our garage. I think it's 600.
Okay. You wanna give it to us?
I can lend it to you if you need it. But they also, we got it through a military surplus,
Okay.
so you might wanna look into that.
We're looking at everything, we've looked at everything, yeah. The biggest thing is if we can get the rental, and to throw a rough number out there, rental alone would be anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 just to rent this
easily,
machine,
yes.
easily.
Wow.
So if we can get that knocked down to zero, that's a home run for water, sewer, and obviously the entire community.
Yeah, just,
So PO this week for a 500 KW and it's eight months out.
Yeah.
so I just want to touch a little bit what Paul said. Not necessarily will it back up. What's going to happen is the water comes in and it's going to come in and it's not going to be pumped. So it's going to fill the tanks, then it's going to overflow and end up in the river. And that's really going to be not good because that's hazardous material. That'll be all hands on deck. That will cost an awful lot of money, so.
Other questions?
Just one more, I missed the date on the, road safety thing, what was it?
June 25th, 5 PM, Hicks Road. We'll get that all, publicized by tomorrow. We just were given the date, and I wanted to get this all to you, and then we'll get it all advertised and put up there.
I missed the last meeting, couldn't make it.
Item 7, Finance Director's Report and Bond Project Update.
With us tonight is
I'm
obviously.
getting reinforcements.
Yeah, with us tonight is obviously our finance director and then also our director of public works, where we're, the
I'm gonna
first
let
part of
Jim
it.
give the finance report.
Yeah, you guys are gonna switch
Yeah.
roles tonight? That could be fun.
Yeah, that's easy. We
Yeah.
diverted all funds to roads. That was easy.
Good evening. These are the, oh, and look at, your summary probably says 2025, it probably mirrors.
We
what
are
it said.
stuck in
I don't
25,
know what the
like-
problem is here, but the header should
Not
say.
yet, we're gonna go
The
into
header
fiscal
should say fiscal FY '26. So these are the results for year-to-date, May 31st, 2026. We are 11 months through our fiscal year, which is 92% of the fiscal year. Current year-to-date property taxes are $29,305,939, just a little over 100.4%. That's compared to $27,484,86,216, which was 100.5%, same period last year. Motor vehicle supplemental, $294,736 year-to-date, 84.21% of budget. That's in comparison to $300,002, which was 133.33% of last year's budget. Past due taxes, $336,721. 96.21% of budget. That's compared to 375,277, which was 62.5%. Total revenues year-to-date, 41,505,090, 101.19% of budgeted, compared to 38,623,626, which is 94.65% of budgeted. Total year-to-date expenditures with encumbrances, 37,106,299. We're at just a little over 90.4%, compared to 36,108,883, which was 88.49% for last year. Municipal aid received in the month of May, the only thing we received was this year's LoCIP grant for $123,196. Cash flow at May 31st, $22,756,628. Of that, $19,296,319 was invested. $460,000 of that in the Northwest Community Bank sweep, $2.65 million in the State Investment Fund, and $16.181 million in Northwest Community Bank money market. Capital expenditures for the month of May. There are several small expenditures. I will run through them all, but I'm going to do them quickly. $1,500 for town hall repairs, $2,175 for police station upgrades, $4,500 for the next gen records management system, $23,978 for the Communities Challenge Bridge Street intersection, a little over $4,700 for the Communities Challenge wayfinding signs, not wayfaring signs.
It's wayside.
A little over $9,000 for plow truck number 9. I think that was an accessory. $45,900 for wetlands flagging for the Sue Grossman Trail. That's Cardinal Engineering. $10,220 for Rockwell Street drainage. $13,999 for senior center repairs and upgrades. $37,341 for the senior center mechanical repairs. We're now into bond projects, 7500 Halliburton Avenue for the non-Lotsip piece, $4,336 for South Road, $88,521 for Wani, $56,771 towards Spring Street, $20,266 for West Wakefield Boulevard Phase 2, and $8,200 for drainage. Yeah. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
So Henry, I'm assuming that on our property tax, when it's over 100%, that means we got past due, people are paying past due?
The past due piece is in the past due line item. It just means that what, we are collecting a little, collecting a little more than what we had budgeted. So we, remember that we budget for an adjusted number.
Okay.
So we're collecting a little more than what our we had anticipated for our collection rate.
That's very good.
Okay, so you all have a lot of pieces of paper that are very small printed. I didn't print those, so don't blame me for the really small nature of them. What I think we want to start with, though, is while Jim is here, we're going to go over the biggest piece of that, I think, is what you were asking for, which is an update on the bond project. What's that going to plug into?
Because
Right here?
it goes to all three monitors, that's why I wanted to. This one's more like the TV you watch.
So we don't change that.
Yeah, effective TV.
Oh, we got going on here, but we're coming up with nothing.
So go down to Wi-Fi, you're off Wi-Fi.
Oh, my
That's-
Wi-Fi's not on.
Yeah, I had to rejoin it for whatever reason when I came down here too.
Am I going to corporate?
Yeah, and you should just, it's not gonna ask you
Yeah,
for
I'm
login,
not.
just hit connect, you should be fine. It gave me the same issue. Thanks, Jeff.
Did you hand out those pieces of paper?
I did not.
Okay. Maybe they can look at those if we're gonna look at nothing else. I don't know what's going on here. connect it now.
No, they printed this today. Hey, Maria, you have more of these?
I gave you like 10, I gave you, I think, 9 of them.
Oh, fat fingers. Two. Oh, you got one.
That's my sheet right there.
Oh. I don't even, I can stare at the screen.
All right, hang
I
on one
already seen
second,
it.
because I gotta try to pull this up here. What's going on? Maybe it'll come up the next time I get into, yeah, there you go. Now we're up, so hold on one second, because I got out of it.
While they're doing it, is Main Street paving done, or is
Main
there-
Street paving is done, yes.
So the old paving, they weren't going curb to curb the whole way, it was just,
Just where they went, curb to curb, just out here. And then down the second stage of it, because they haven't paved that, it was kind of by Little Red Barn, that crossover. They'll be back after late summer to finish that up. So.
okay.
So you have this in financial form, in that really tiny spreadsheet that you have there. But I thought that it would be good for us to look back at the presentation that was given when we were looking to get the bond project approved, and the list of roads that were slated to be done as part of the road bond. So we sat down today, did a little comparison, made a little color chart, and that the colors coincide with the colors that you've got in your spreadsheet with the dollars attached. So I'll go through just a quick list of the ones that are complete, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Rollins to go over the rest of them that are either in progress or in planning stage or beyond. So anything that is crossed off doesn't mean we just decided not to do them. Those are the projects that have been completed. So Marshall Street, Case Avenue, Whiting Street Phase 2, Case Avenue Bridge, Elm Street, Upland Road Phase 1 is complete. Jim can talk about Phase 2 in his discussion. Taylor Brook Bridge, Wani Road, which is almost complete, correct?
It's
On
done,
your
yeah.
list, I think, on the detailed list, it shows it's still in progress, but it is complete. Hannafin Road, Spring Street, and then there is work being done on sidewalks and Highland Lake drainage. So all of those projects that were slated for completion in the bond are complete. The ones in orange are the next ones that are in progress. Take it away.
So in orange, we've got 3 items up there. Hubbard Street is the top one. Hubbard Street is substantially complete. There's just a stretch of asphalt sidewalk that wasn't part of the scope of work just because it was one of these things that if you designed it and built it, it was gonna be crazy expensive rather than just doing it. There's a little issue with a retaining wall and a railing at the most, I guess, northern end. We just gotta build that wall, put in the railing, and then pave the sidewalk. Relatively small thing. We just keep not getting to it, but the project is drivable, workable. It's pretty much all set except for that one stretch of sidewalk, and it's not concrete, it's asphalt sidewalk. The essential sidewalks, I think I touched on this with the last meeting where we've been ghosted by the contractor that won the bid. So we're working with the town attorney to get the proper notification out, just to end that contract so that we can start over again. We're looking at a couple of different ways of doing it, rewriting the bid, using a pre-bid service. A lot of it's got to do, it's all grant money that runs that, so you gotta look at what the rules are associated with the grant to know what purchasing practices you can or cannot do. The Highland Lake drainage, that's kind of this ongoing thing that is just always ongoing. We've got 1, 2, 3 projects currently in the design phase right now. The survey has been done, the test holes have been done. I think the wetland flagging has been done, and the engineers are actually designing water quality improvement measures. One is right up kind of between the Wakefield Boulevard culvert and Mountain Road. There's an undersized culvert there that's got some surcharging issues. One is a water quality issue at 450 West Wakefield, and the other is a failing retaining wall that's holding up Wakefield Boulevard right at 608, and trying to also mitigate some, pretty dirty water that comes off that mountain, try to clean it up before it gets to the lake. So that kind of dovetails with West Wakefield Boulevard paving. Can't do the paving until you do the drainage. So they all kind of dovetail together. So that takes care of the projects up there that are like really in progress. Things are really happening. Projects that are in the planning phase. We'll just start with Halliburton Avenue, which was originally intended for year one. And we more or less did get going on that. We had to put the water main in first, and that took time to bid, time to install, time to go through the process. We had some gas company work. So the project now has been, the design is done. It's 95%. It's in the hands of the Council of Government. They have to review it in order for it to go to DOT for the final blessing. So the last thing we did before sending it off is we just reached back out to the utilities to say, hey, this is ready to go. And the gas.
This is combined lot SIP and non-lot
Yep.
SIP. That's why it has to go to the state.
Yeah, the lower half is the lot SIP section, from Colony Drive down, from Colony Drive up is all our funds. So as we reach back out to the utilities, because as everyone knows, when you put a new road in, the last thing you want to see is excavating shortly after it's been paved. So we reached back out to them because it's been a while. And since the time that we first approached them with this, and now they decided they're going to be redoing what is that thing called up there? Transfer station? No, it's a booster station, pressure regulator station.
That's it, yeah.
They're going to be redoing that at the very top of Halliburton, and along with that, they want to replace mains down to, I think, Waldron Street. So they're coming in, I want to say it was August, I think, is when they're planning on starting.
August.
So we're putting our construction off until next spring, so we're not rushed. So it's designed, it's in the hands of the people that, finalize it, and, we'll bid it in the winter and build it in the spring. I kind of touched on the Wakefield Boulevard, you really have to get the drainage and stuff done first. The other part of that Wakefield Boulevard challenge is a lot of that money was allocated to the section from Vons Lane over to Holland Beach. And unfortunately, we've got to replace a water main that was put in 1890, Bill?
I think so.
Before we paved that road.
Just the other day.
Yeah. So before we pave it, we want to get that water main fixed. And the water company's just got a lot on their plate with the lead service line inventory, and I don't remember the other project we're doing. Oh, the 2 water tanks and water mains. So we just haven't been able to rally our forces to get ahead of that. So that's why that one's a little behind schedule. Oakdale Avenue, that one is just a challenging project because it's bigger than we intended, or more expensive, I should say, than we had intended. So we're going to probably scale that back a little bit to the lower section of Oakdale instead of going to the very tip top. We're not doing too much other than looking at options. Each one we look at is getting better on price, but not good enough. So we're still looking at that. The bright point on this is South Road. The engineers are working on the pavement design right now and the drainage. The soil samples we took were grim. A lot of fines, which make it very frost susceptible. So we're trying to design, the aggregate mix to go under it, and then the pavement. But the wetlands is done, the survey is done, and the engineering is underway. So we should be doing the drainage here in July, maybe August, and then paving it in September. So that's the plan for South Road.
The yellows.
Yeah, so then projects that we haven't really put a whole lot of work into, Newfield Road, the same thing we're doing to South Road currently is gonna start up on Newfield Road as soon as they're done with South. It's basically the same task. You dig test holes, you analyze the soil to see what's under there, look at the existing drainage, figure out what needs to be changed, And, you know, we'll be using probably state bid prices for the paving and probably our drainage bid pricing to do the drainage, so that should be a pretty quick turnaround. Our intention is to get that all designed and, you know, ready to go for springtime next year. Moore Avenue, to be honest, that one is really off my radar. I guess mostly because there's some sewer work that we'd really like to do. The Moore Avenue pump station has some inflow and infiltration issues that we would like to address before we do the road. So, again, bandwidth issues, if we can get ahead of that, I'd like to do the drainage and paving, but that's what's slowing us down. So that's kind of a status of the actual, where we are on each project. You know, you can talk about the,
Lake Street, you want to talk about, or
where is that one?
the bottom one?
5 years.
Oh, there it is, yep, buried under the, so, yeah, Lake Street that's a tough one to drive these days. They did,
Clearly, you just.
yeah, they did,
It just went blank.
they did a gas main there last year or 2 years ago. And again, one of the reasons that this one was scheduled for year 5 is because we knew there was a lot going on to get ready for that project. We had some sewer issues that we had to fix. We had a gas main that we knew was being replaced. And that's because all the utilities, the towns, the water, the sewer, the gas, the electric, we all talked to each other with a 5-year look ahead. So we knew what was coming on their side. So we put our Lake Street towards the end. Theirs is done. The next step for us is we were gonna use lot zip money, but we're using that lot zip money on the Hollywood Avenue project, and we're only scheduled once every 5 years. And for whatever reason, we got out of phase with that. So we're gonna go and use steep money for Lake Street, and Tom's putting the application together for that. So, you know, once we get a little bit of a financial footing for that one, then we'll have a little better schedule, but it won't be, this is year 5 and it won't be this year. So that's a basic overview. If you got any questions on any of those projects?
Questions from the board?
So I'm gonna,
Excuse me,
sorry.
Gramp Hill Road in parentheses.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that because I'm gonna give you, you have the summary page that I gave to everyone, which is, if I can potentially get there, hold on 1 second.
Hey, Jim, while she's looking for that, was there a list of Highland Lake drainage projects? Is there a, when the bond was created, was there a, you know, here's the 12 items we're gonna do, or whatever the count was?
So we had project information sheets that demonstrated likely candidates. Some of the ones that we talked about are on there. Some of the ones we talked about are new to the list. We're not holding that exact. It was just kind of representative. The money that we had, excuse me, allocated for that would cover the ones we had, but there's some other ones in the way. The challenge on that is, how to say it, we're trying to do a lot of different things with the same resources. Like the drainage money is really got allocated for water quality. The road really got allocated because it's tough to drive. The drainage problems and the road issues more or less work together, but not exclusively. So some of the places that we think are, you know, high pollutants isn't really the best word, high nutrient amounts of discharge into the lake don't necessarily go with the areas of worst pavement. So they don't match, they don't dovetail exactly. So the list is, it's not exact, it's more kind of parsed out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the paving was a different thing, but, so there wasn't like, all right, here's the 10 things we wanna do?
There was 5 or 6, and 2, I think the only one that we're working on that wasn't part of that list was the one at 3, don't quote me on the number, I think it's 350 West Wakefield. That one kind of jumped to the top of the list because I had a willing property owner. You had a whole group, 3 or 4 property owners right there experiencing the same problem. And as you know, at the lake, the hardest thing is getting access for your drainage water to make its way to the lake. And they're like, we have this open space, you can use it, but let's solve this problem. So rather than fighting the immovable object of, you know, territorial people and drainage pipes running through their property, I took the easy avenue to get one done. So that one wasn't on the list. The rest of them, I think, all were.
And are you changing the design of the culverts that go into the lake
Yeah.
from what they were 100 years ago?
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. Each one is different, so I'll just leave it at that. You know, we're either upsizing the pipe or changing the shape of the pipe to allow, as water comes out of a pipe, it's got a lot of velocity, which causes a lot of scour, which causes a lot of cost on the outlets. If you can change the diameter of the pipe or change the elevation of the pipe or put a bigger pipe in and bury it so you have more of a natural bottom, you can keep the same flow characteristics without the erosion. So we're trying to throw those practices in where we can. One of them may turn into an actual box culvert. You know, that's why we have engineers, because they know what the state likes, they know what works the best and where the sweet spot is money-wise. But most of them will change either in size, they'll add some kind of, you know, outlet protection, they'll add some kind of hydrodynamic separator, deeper catch basin, sumps, you know, things like that. So yeah, for the most part, something on each of them will change.
Thank you.
So this, and I think you've seen this before, but if you have not, this summary in the box flows from the detail above, the budgets for all the years, what's been spent, but we're really we're looking more on the budgeted side. So through the end of 2026, the total amount that's been, of projects that have been budgeted, it was a little over 18, almost 18.5. Of that, some of that has grant reimbursements built into those projects. However, when we put the budget in, we have to budget for the gross dollar amount of the project. And this top half of this was just to analyze what our cash needs were. So our net cash needed through the end of June 30th of 2026 was roughly $15 million. We did our first tranche of $5,150,000 back in 2023, $250 for drainage, $600 for sidewalks, plus the fire truck. We did that back in 2023. Also, in July of 2025, we took another tranche 2. We did $8 million for roads and drainage work. So that left $1 million that we have basically fronted for these projects that are currently in process. The lower section is the more important section that we're really looking at, is the total amount that we can spend right now. Let's assume we spent the whole amount on the truck. The total amount that we are allowed to spend is $23,300,000 on the roads, the drainage, and the sidewalks. We have budgeted 18.5, which is from above, the detail above. And then for fiscal 27 and beyond, there's another $5.3 million right now that Jim was looking at that we would want to be budgeting for. That would leave us in a shortfall position of just a little over $520,000, which may require determining whether we can do all those projects on that list that you saw up there of projects that were not started. However, we are doing a full review of what was approved at referendum, all of the projects and the reallocation of funds, particularly with the projects that have grant funding attached to them, and how we can best utilize the funds that related to the grant. Because what happens is when you've got grant money tied to those, let's take Case Avenue, for example, Case Avenue Bridge. Case Avenue Bridge was originally supposed to be an 80-20, so 80 state, right?
State, federal.
State and federal, 20% the town. And that's why that was part of the bond project. Come to the end of the project, the state now, it is 100% reimbursed to the town. So we have no skin in the game on that. So we don't really need that to flow through the bond project, because all that is doing is inflating our spend. So we've got $2.6 million that could be allocated to other road projects that don't necessarily need to be included in the bond spend. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that? So we're looking at all of these. We're looking at the Lake Street project, which Tom is working on the steep grant for. How much would be potentially, would the town need to kick in? What's the cost of that project? That's where also the Mad River Bridge, Grantville Road piece comes in, because that's federal local bridge money, and that's supposed to be 100%. So if that's 100% grant money, again, there's no reason for us to keep that in the bond package projects, because if that's 100% reimbursed, we don't wanna allocate that money to a project that's gonna be 100% reimbursed to us, whereas we could take, I don't know, let's say it's a $3 million project, I don't know what it is, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, if it's $3 million, we wouldn't wanna take $3 million and get us up to that 23 million, a little over 23 million, when we could use that $3 million for other projects.
So I'm gonna jump right in and add a little bit to that, to why this decision gets even better. Our initial estimates for that bridge were, let's say it was 2 million, I don't know what the number is exactly, and now it's coming in at 3 million. That 3 million is what went towards our $25 million road bond. If it's 3 million, that means that road bond would be 26 million. But we can't go over the 25 million that was allocated. So that means $1 million of other jobs has to come off to make up for that. It's wacky confusing.
Yeah.
So taking those projects, since they're fully funded away, reallocates those funds to be used on these projects that were approved by the public and what they're expecting. So I don't know if that helped
With the-
simplify
Yeah.
things.
So as projects are finished, on the ones that are in this, that are crossed off the list and are coming to completion, we are then taking the budgets on those projects and we are bringing those budgets in line with the actual spend to be zero over or underspent. So some of those may have come in over what the initial project budget was, some of them came in under. We've been reallocating those budgets to the projects that need the funds. But we're gonna get to a point where we don't have funds potentially to reallocate. So then the decision will be made, do you leave road off of the list, not do it, wait till we have funding. If we can take these projects that are 100% grant funded out of the mix, that frees up for us to use those funds to reach that 23,300,000 or ceiling for other road projects. Because it's sort of inflating your spend number when we're spending it up front, but we're getting all that money back.
Right, so let's just take the Case Avenue Bridge. You have roughly $2.5 million that you budgeted for in the bond that you're not gonna spend. Is that?
Well, we've spent, right now, we've spent it. Right now,
But
it's
you're gonna
been
get
accounted
reimbursed for that.
We got reimbursed for it.
Right.
But in looking at the total, when I look at the total right now of the project budgets, let me go back to this. When I look at the total spend allowed per referendum of 23.3, that's gonna change a little bit when we pull out the money on, the excess out of the fire truck to reallocate to the roads. That 18,471,000 includes $2.5 million that was budgeted for Case Avenue Bridge. If we can pull $2.5 million out of that, that's gonna bring us down to projects budgeted of 16 million, which then gives us more bandwidth, or use that word, right? Good
Money
example.
bandwidth.
Financial
It gives us more availability of funds to use for other projects.
So it takes your $519,000 shortfall and
And
makes
puts
it
it in
$1.5 million
surplus.
plus.
If it's a surplus.
Does that not help you with your Oakdale
Yes,
quandary that you're
Yes,
in there
yes.
and bring Grantville back into play, or?
yes, yep.
So do we have on all the projects, when you started this sheet 5 years
I
ago?
didn't get to do this today, but I know the question that you're going to ask, because I pulled up the, hold on.
You're starting to read my mind,
I
it's
knew
getting
exactly,
scary.
it's a little scary, isn't it?
Yes.
No, I pulled that one up today, and I was like, I gotta update that. Hang on, it's gonna, why is this one not pulling up?
You had it open before.
Hmm?
You had it open, and then you lost the Wi-Fi, you're gonna have to reopen it,
Yeah, I think I gotta reopen it,
You
but
gotta
I'm gonna
reopen
bring
it.
up that, schedule. Just to show you, so.
I guess another way to say this, because some of this does get confusing, and maybe not for the board, but for the general public. I'm gonna use the Pearson roof as a good example as well. So we did go out, we had asked the voters to approve the total amount of the Pearson roof project. We are expecting a 70% reimbursement, so we're not gonna go and obviously borrow all of that money because we're going to get 70% reimbursement. So on these projects where, you know, Grantville Road, where we're expecting 100% reimbursement, it's not, there's no reason to bring it through the bond. I will need action from this board to accept the money, which will be later down the road, but there's no reason to inflate the bond total if we're not even needing any of the bond money to do the project.
You're leaving
So this is
yourself a
what I did
fictional
not get.
shortfall.
Correct.
This is what I didn't get to today, which was the next project on my list, was, this is what was projected originally in the presentations for the road bond. And I was gonna do a comparison of what was the initial projection of the cost versus what the actual cost is coming in at. Is that what
Cool.
you were looking for?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Sort of.
Certainly would be
Somewhere
helpful.
close to that?
So I got a question. So we did a bridge 2+ years ago, 100% funded. We still didn't receive all the money yet. Does that affect, I mean, the bond?
For here, you mean?
Yeah, for the, for the extra money that you're gonna,
What bridge are we talking?
no. In my town. I
Okay,
said-
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 100% funded by the state, and we received like 90% of it, but they're still holding off on.
Can I
Some of
answer
it?
that? You need a
Acquiring
Tom and Anne
issues.
Marie, and they'll get you 100%.
No,
You
I'm
need a
just-
Tom and Anne Marie.
I was just wondering if it affects it, because, I mean, it didn't affect us because we don't have bonding, but whatever.
It's not gonna affect us, I mean, we might not have, potentially, you might not have cash in hand, but as long as you have that agreement from the state that states that the reimbursement is coming in
Yeah, I
at
don't know why it's
100%.
taking so
If they're potentially withholding funds, like basically retainage, right, on the project?
Yes.
Then it's still a receivable for the town. So you can still recognize that as revenue, because the project is complete, but you now have to go after the state of Connecticut to get those funds, which, you know, they are notoriously slow.
Yes.
And you have a lot of turnover at the state level, and so you kinda have to keep pushing to get the funds.
And the project closeout, was that through the federal local bridge program? The project really works quite well until the project closeout.
Right.
And then they are checking every little thing against
I think
every
it's
other
a
little
fight, the
thing.
state and Aquarian over costs.
Oh, that,
and
see, there you go.
We got stuck in the middle of it.
But they, and again, not that it's not a good thing, that it's a bummer that it takes time, but that's them doing their due diligence to make sure that everybody's paid, everybody's paying their fair share, the contractors, what's private is being paid by the private people, so, but it is project closeout. We're still not done with Suckerbrook Bridge project closeout. And
Yeah, mine's longer than yours,
so it can be a drag.
So if anybody has questions, and you can read that little chart that you have, you also have it in email that I had sent over, I think, do they get copies of the emails?
So the board packet is emailed to them, and so they have it
Okay,
electronically as
so
well.
you might wanna pull that up on your computer so you can actually read it. There are notes off to the side on the one that is the bond-only projects, we did. Some of them might be a little outdated on the ones that Jim has noted were mostly complete, or, you know, he may have said, we may have marked them complete in today's schedule. They may still be showing in, not in the purple completed projects, they're still showing as open projects, so. But that's pretty much it on the bonds, I think. Was there any other
Other
questions?
questions from the board?
So the Case Avenue Bridge and the Grantville Road projects are ones that will be taken out. Are there any others?
Potentially, we're looking at, we're looking at all of them, we're looking at the lots versus the non-lots for Holliber. If there is a possibility of splitting those projects into two separate projects, that would allow us to pull out the lots piece. We're looking at the Lake Street, which is tied to the steep, grant application that's being worked on right now, so we're looking at any of them that have a grant tied to them that we could potentially utilize those funds that were initially earmarked, that we're gonna be grant funded.
And just so you know, where it said Grantville Road, it's actually the Grantville Road Bridge over the Mad River. It's not Mad River Bridge, really, it's the Granville Road Bridge over the Mad River. It's just a big block, and it took up 2 spaces.
And I couldn't get rid of it today because I couldn't get the
We-
slide to work, so we
Yeah,
left it as it
we
was.
gave up on that
Like,
after
we
a while.
left it as it was in the initial slides back, that's how it was presented, so we left the wording as it
Yeah,
was.
so it's 2 bridges, and they're both part of the federal local bridge program, which, again, I'll just be real quick on this. When we were doing the bond, when we were putting these projects in, we were anticipating an 80-20 split, so we needed to get our 20% from somewhere, so we went to the bond. At the very last minute, I threw in the Grantville Bridge because I had heard that they were gonna change to the 100%. And I wanted to get in before anybody else did, so we threw it in, and the wisdom of the board just said, well, let's go for it. Luckily, it paid off, and it could really salvage what inflation has just hammered us with over a 5-year bond. This will really help bridge that gap, no pun intended there, but, so it was part luck, part, again, it's always the team effort, somebody hears something, you act on it, you go for it, and it worked out. Another part of the wisdom was, the way they wrote the bond was general, so you had the flexibility to do these things. If you write something so specific, you're just handcuffed. So a lot of things went right about this, and they're starting to show the results. The one thing that went wrong was the timing, the inflation was just insane, like roughly 50% in 5 years. It's just crazy, so.
Thank you.
Anything else?
If nobody else has anything on the bond, I just, while you're here, on my way home, obviously, noticed that 263 Statesman, did they do anything to fix that problem out there?
263 what?
Yeah, where the water comes out of the building.
Yeah, so DOT put a catch basin in that parking lot to capture that water before it gets out to the road and runs across and discharges into Highland Lake Stream. So,
Didn't do anything for the water coming under the building though, right?
nope,
Yeah.
no,
That's
that's
still in the works?
not by me.
Oh, okay.
If the owner wants to do something about it, they
Oh,
can.
that's the owner thing? I thought the
It's-
state was doing something about it.
I think they looked at what the possible options were, and you just have to be, in public life, you've got to be very careful to not use public dollars on private property, and that was just hands down what that would have turned into, so that they just had to go and just do what they could in the only area that they had such a small area to work, that was the only option they had. As long as they set that catch basin top low enough, it's gonna capture that water. Their surveyors picked up that location and they had it marked, and they had it saw cut months and months ago, so I don't doubt it's gonna work, so, yeah.
They lose a lot of salt over there.
Oh, and it's just, it interrupts everything. There's just no good can come from that, the way it was, so.
Thanks.
Yep, so they're done with that.
Good.
Thanks,
Set,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, folks.
Item 8, correspondence, the superintendent's email.
So as you all saw, you got an email today. They are starting the administrative union negotiations. I apologize, I don't have, the first meeting is, I believe, coming up next week. The superintendent is looking, and by state statute, is looking for an observer from the Board of Selectmen. I leave it to all of you to decide who your observer is. If you,
was that, do you know?
It's actually July 10th,
July, I
the
thought it was,
23rd, and
yeah.
the 24th.
I think it's one of those, not all of them
No,
necessarily.
it's 3 of them.
it's all three. The 3 dates have been set. Usually
Oh,
when
I
you're,
thought you
when you're in a
said
negotiations, you
up to
set the
3.
first
Yeah.
3 meetings. So July 10th is the first one.
10, 23, and 24.
Are there timelines for that? I mean, is there morning, afternoon, evening meetings?
All at
Said
1
1
p.m., 1 p.m.
Well, Selectman Heffernan and I are the liaisons for the board, so
Yeah.
I don't know if you can,
It depends on the day. I mean, right now I can't do the 10th because I have court. What was the other date?
23 and 24.
23 and 24 I can do.
I am okay if our liaisons take that, if they wish.
I can do the 10th if you can't.
Great, thanks.
I don't know if anybody else
Does
has
that
any
work for
opinions.
everybody? I mean, does anybody wanna, don't jump now.
I mean, it seems like we have general consensus. You can motion it, or I can just let Julie know that the liaisons will be at the meeting, if that's okay with the board. I don't think you need any formal action.
That way.
Okay, I'll let her know tomorrow. Excellent.
All right, item 9, boards and commissions. We don't have a formal report, but Kevin, you wanted to bring something up?
We don't have anything.
Okay.
We had a question come up about moving up someone from an alternate position to a full-time regular seat position, but we need to look into the 2 alternates. This is for planning and zoning. We need to look into the 2 alternates and determine which one came first.
Was it planning and zoning or ZBA?
CBA, sorry.
ZBA.
Right, Albert? Yeah. So just confirm that and confirm if the one that's older wants to sit or stay as an alternate too, you know?
And they can do business with alternates until full-time is appointed.
I can take care of that.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? No. Item 10, unfinished business, nothing is on the agenda. Item 11, B, Charter Revision Commission Report. Chairwoman Perez.
Hi, everybody. Let me see if I can connect real quick. I gave you all a packet, and it's a report from the Charter Revision Commission. While I'm hooking this up, I'd like to recognize 3 members of the commission that are here. We have Mark, we have Sandra, and we have Holly that helped with it. And then everybody else, Paul and Cheryl were on here as well. Louisa helped, and Bill Hudak helped as well. You'll see on the bottom of your packet that one of the last pages of your packet, you have the members of the Charter Revision Commission. All right, so everything's working good. That's why you get Macintosh. Just saying. But anyway, so this is our report. So the plan tonight is not to discuss the issues that are in here or the recommendations that are in here, but just to give a broad view of what ones move forward and why. We can schedule another meeting with all of you if you want to discuss any particular issue. When I go through this, we'll also get to the part, it's on the front page of the report too, of the next steps for all of you to do. So the commission has done its work. We followed the timeline. We were under budget. Oh, wait, there was no cost because Holly did the minutes and I did the report. The rest of the team would like to go to lunch. So we'll figure that one out later. So anyway, so the first one we did was, there were charges that you gave us and there was other things from the community and also from the registrars. So the first one that we would like to move forward is the town clerk transition from an elected position to professionally appointed. There's a few little tidbits in there in terms of why that is. 75 municipalities use it as a professionally appointed position. And mostly, one of the first reasons to do this is the technical role that it plays now, the land records, vital statistics, complex election laws, the amount of time it takes to get certified. So we believe it would be best interest of the town to be a professionally appointed position. It would start after if the charter question was approved at the next election, it would start at the end of the current term of the town clerk. The next one that we looked at and researched and moved forward was serving concurrent service on more than one major board. We defined the major boards for the purpose of this restriction. You can see which ones they are up here, and they're also in your packet. And that was something that you had put before us. The next one came from the registrars, and it seemed to make sense when we were talking about it, and it kind of goes along with the same reason the town clerk would be a professional position, is the registrars, we want to go from a 2-year term to a 4-year term. It creates stability and knowledge and reducing any turnover that there might be. But there is really a huge financial impact to this that I don't think some of us recognized until after we really got talking to the clerks and got the information from them, is that there's a $1,600 investment per clerk for some training that has to happen. They have to go to courses all the time, and within 2 years, they just barely get that done. And the technical aspects of it, again, are things that the state keeps putting out, gets more and more complex. And it also aligns with some of the regional standards out there. The report goes more into depth for you. Now, this was the more fun one of all of them, the budget timeline adjustments. This is purposely done to do the structural changes to make things work better if we can. So we decided the Board of Ed would get a benefit because we want to shift the date that the budget is due from March 15th to the 22nd, to give the Board of Ed a little bit more time to finalize their budget, but also it allows a little shorter of a window. You'll see that we're tightening up the timelines throughout this, and the reason for that is not only Board of Ed, but taxpayer engagement. We're thinking that the taxpayer, sometimes if our budget meetings go too long or the process goes too long, that they're engaged and they disengage and then they have to get back engaged again. So by going to a shorter window, we might be able to have more taxpayer engagement because they only have to be engaged for a shorter period of time. Board of Selectmen window, we have compressed this to a shorter, more intensive, we call it decision-making window. Because a lot of times as a board, I know that when I was there, sometimes we just put things off until we had to do the last minute. You know, it's like when you have to write a paper for school, you wait until the night before, you finish your paper. And so sometimes decisions are like that, so we've shortened and compressed yours a little bit. And the major thing that we were looking at is the referendum failure mitigation. Right now, when the budget would fail, it would take a long time to get the next budget up and running. We're looking at a 14-day turnaround if the budget were to fail. Luckily, over the course of time, not all budgets fail. Some budgets go out and they make it in the first try. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't do just everything for a referendum failure, but for referendums in general. The other thing we did too is shortening the time after the town meeting will also shorten the town meeting window at that time. There's more details like the other ones, and you can take a look at that. So eligibility for boards and commissions. I found my email from Kevin Nelligan from 2022. Was it 2022. The first one I had from him was from 2008, which really got us tangled in a few things. But in 2022, one of the things that always comes up is what is an elector and what does a property owner get to vote on? And what does somebody sitting on a board or commission get to be? So we came to the conclusion that to be eligible for most boards and commissions, and in your packet you'll have ones that are starred and ones that are not. Whatever one was in the charter is starred as having to meet these standards of being an elector, which basically is you're a resident and you're eligible to vote. A property owner we define for budgets, for people that qualify as a property owner for budget referendums, votes that are bonds, things that are money. But for being on a board or commission, you have to be eligible to be, you're an elector, that means being a resident and eligible to vote on that. So we went through that, and for boards or commissions that you form, or boards or commissions that are ad hoc, you would decide the eligibility criteria, like you did with the historic commission, when we made those changes for historic commission. So you would decide that, are they going to be an elector, meaning resident, or should they be a property owner, or should they just have some skills that you want and they happen to have a business in town? But for right now, we're just defining the elector and property owner based on Kevin Nelligan's 2022 recommendations, and he also was at our meeting online last Monday. Items we did not move forward for various reasons is the 4-year terms for Board of Selectmen, IWWC membership 97, removal of stipends for Board of Selectmen, that was due to time. There was a couple other things, fire department consolidation was requested, we sent that back for them to study it more, and a resident brought up moving a Gilbert line item to the town side of the budget, and that was ruled not consistent with law, but we did not move those forward. However, we do have a major recommendation, and I think you recognize this as well, is the inherent challenges of incremental updates to this document, we strongly recommend that the board and the town manager find a professional firm, such as we did with General Code, to restructure the charter into a more logical and accessible document. Following this reorganization, the substance of individual sections can be updated more effectively. Once that is done, after the reorganization of the charter, we recommend another charter revision commission should be established to review the necessary updates from the town attorney and others. That is a strong recommendation. It's been something that's been talked about for not 1,000 years, but pretty close to it, and it is a major recommendation at the end of your report. So the next steps, because I know that's what you're waiting for, is the next steps is, if we follow the timeline from when you first did this in February, by June 15th, we submitted our report. We did our job here. July 6th is your next meeting. We would recommend that you hold a public hearing at that time. It says within 45 days of submission, but if you waited 45 days, we're working right on the edge of time in August if you wanted to send it back to us. If you don't want to send it back to us, then you could stay within 45 days, but we recommend July 6th as a public hearing to go along with the meeting that you're already here for. So by July 21st, we would want any recommendations back from you, or within 15 days of the hearing, so we picked July 21st was the date there. You must either accept the report as is and say, wow, nice job, let's go. The next step after that would be for Kevin Nelligan to do the language within the charter and the questions for the ballot. If you don't want something in there, or you want something else in there, you would send it back to the CRC with the recommended changes. So if you accept it, we ship it off to Kevin Nelligan. If you don't, it comes back to us. When you do send it back to us, if there are things that you accept and want to accept, we might want to send those to Kevin Nelligan, so he has plenty of time to do it without having to get crushed with everything. I've kept him up to date with the changes that we're making, so there should be nothing unexpected by him. And I think those are our members of us over here. And I believe that's the end. So again, we'd be welcome to we'd be happy to come back and talk with you about anything that you'd like. A lot of stuff is in here. It's pretty comprehensive. Cheryl and Paul were there, so the good thing about that is they know what we were doing as well. And they can answer questions probably for you a little bit if you needed to, but all of us here would come back again and speak with you if you need us to. Or if you had questions, we could meet outside the meeting as needed. All right, and that is all I have for you.
Thank you all for
Turn
your
me
work.
off.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.
So I just would point out, thank you for everybody who did this hard work, and for those on the board, and Cheryl and I were at most meetings. I think this board, or this commission, I should say, they did their work very thoughtfully, very carefully. They went through each one of these issues, had great debate, and I think what they've presented to us is a really good document. So thanks to the group.
Yeah, thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, if I could go over a few items that Candy just brought up. So on July 6th, which is our next Board of Selectmen meeting, they are suggesting that the Board of Selectmen hold a public hearing. Perhaps we could do a public hearing at 6 o'clock. We could preview, everything that they brought back. I also believe, in my opinion, on July 6th, you've all had an opportunity to read the document. We've then had the opportunity to hear from the public. We should have an agenda item of exactly what you want to do. Are you going to accept everything that the charter revision is, going to do? Is there more questions that you want to bring them back? Because we do need to give a recommendation to them on July 21st. But I think you all can debate, listen to what the public may have to offer on that July 6th meeting, talk a little bit more, but on July 20th, which is our second meeting, we are then, it's by the 21st, because obviously we're going to get out whatever time. That next morning, I'm emailing the Charter Revision Commission, these are the changes we want you to talk about, or green light, go with what you have, that you offer no changes.
And I think, even at the July 6th, if there's certain things we accept, just as Candy suggested, we can let them know that those are not in dispute.
Yep.
The others we still
Excellent
want
plan.
to explore.
Yep.
But, yeah, I think that sounds like a very responsible plan.
Okay.
So can I have a motion to set the public hearing on July the 6th?
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the Charter Review Commission report on July 6, 2026 at 6 o'clock PM.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Would you like us there?
Yes, please. And then what I'll do, Charter Revision has their own section on our website, but I'll make this a feature. I'm going to put up the Charter Revision report, so it becomes, you know.
It's on the website.
Oh, it's on your website. I knew you and Terry were talking earlier. But I'll put it as a feature, so it's not buried, 3 pages deep.
Is there a summary of it somewhere? Because as you go through this, as you know, with all the line outs and the redlining, it's some bit hard to follow. Is there a good summary thing we should put up?
I was just gonna offer.
Right.
Ken, if you could send me that presentation, I can put that up on a, I'm sorry?
Lunch for the crew.
Fourth distressed community.
Lunch for the crew.
So a light lunch,
I think they have a budget, they haven't touched yet.
Well, we're gonna use selectmen contingency. It's all your money anyways. Candy and I will work it out definitely.
I think that would be great to put that up because it summarizes it well and it's easy to understand. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you,
all.
guys.
Thank you.
I think they deserve a lunch.
You buying, Bill?
They didn't hire a secretary, so we do have those funds.
Did you all vote on setting it for July 6th, or was it first and then second?
I think it was just first.
You voted?
Did we
You didn't
vote
vote?
on?
Okay, that's why I was putting you guys back.
We didn't vote? I thought we did.
No,
That's why I
we,
asked the question.
we
I think
did.
we seconded. Did we vote?
I didn't hear the
Voted, I
vote.
voted.
Did we vote?
We'll vote, all in favor?
I already voted, I know.
I guess we did vote.
though. Yeah.
I didn't hear it. I was just.
Jeff, did we vote?
Yes, and it was unanimous.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Item BC, discussion regarding naming of town streets facilities. Unfortunately, it's
BC.
not, well, because we moved A up.
Oh, I see, okay.
So, unfortunately, naming a town street, or renaming a town street isn't as easy as one might think. Paul?
Thank you. So at last meeting, I was caught a little flat-footed. I'll say that we did look, the mayor and I did look at this several months ago. So I needed to go back and recall everything that we researched. But I think what we'll start is, a few items came up at that last meeting, and one of it was, what is the ordinance? So included in your packet was the actual ordinance and then also the memo from me. But the Board of Selectmen shall have the authority to change the name of any street or highway, part thereof, within the town when it is of the opinion that public convenience and necessity requires such change of name. No such ordinance shall be adopted, however, until after a public hearing has been held by the Board of Selectmen on any proposed changes in the name of the street or highway, and public notice of such hearing has been published, so on and so on and so on, our typical stuff. Before, and I think the board wanted to talk about the ordinance, which I think we should do as well. I also expanded, in which I've written in the memo, that the board could ultimately decide to change a street name. There are a lot of other agencies that I need to involve in the street name, such as Connecticut DOT, E911, let me reference my, Connecticut E911, United States Postal Service, Winchester Police Department, Winchester Fire Department, Emergency Medical Services, Department of Public Works, Planning and Zoning Department, and other agencies as appropriate. So remember, we live in this digital age now. We all have maps on our phones, everything like that. Changing a street name, you're involving all of those agencies, because when you change the street name, and our EMS crew, our fire department crew, even our police department crew, when they're going to a street, the GPS is guiding them to an emergency call. If you've changed the street name, it's going to confuse a lot of what's going on. The driver may be looking for, such and such a street, and now it's named this street. Did they make the left? Did they make the right? This particular street, New Street, part of our ordinance is we would need to talk to any of the residents that live on that street. Fortunately, there are no residents that live on that street. It does cross over a major highway, which is now involving the DOT as well. In fact, they own that bridge because it crosses over a major highway. And not making up, you know, anything, because I think the idea is exemplary. But I have to get the DOT involved, and we all know how much fun getting the DOT.
Hey, Paul, before we even go down all that road, let's understand, or at least try to come to a consensus. What does everybody believe that public convenience and necessity requires it? So what is that even allowing us to do? It says it's when we're of the opinion that public convenience and necessity requires such a change. I mean, what is that even allowing us to do?
The way I read that, unless it causes mass confusion, I don't see us being able to change it. So I think if we do want to change the ordinance, you know, we would need to do that to correct that. I would say something like Prospect Street and Prospect Avenue would cause confusion. You know, other similar names.
So we don't think that the request that was brought to us is allowed under what the current ordinance says. Do we agree on that?
I would agree with you, but I don't think that what Aubrey suggested is precluded by this, because it's not changing the name, it's just creating a designation.
An additional sign.
So as I read the statute, you know, what we, you know, our charter and then the statute, it's something that we could do, you know, as an honor, and not actually, we're not actually changing the name, so it won't affect the DOT. It doesn't affect the post office. It doesn't affect anyone's address. It's just a supplement.
How do we have multiple names for one road, though? That's the part that kind of concerned me when I was listening to Aubrey's idea. How do we?
I see it all the time. New Haven has a number of them.
New Haven has a bunch. I think you brought up a bunch of locations.
If I may, Middletown changed their, ended that first one back in February of '25. And I think that had to go through like the Board of Selectmen or the City Council as well. I don't know, I would have to do more research on how that actually happened there too, but I think it was just an active, the town actually approving letting that happen. Didn't affect having to go, you know, changing anything with the Postal Service, the police department, anything else. You're adding a sign honoring a particular person, organization, or group of people, in this case veterans.
Is it something that we can, again, rather than tear into all of the things that you have there tonight, we don't think the ordinance allows it. For that idea, can we get some research for one of our next meetings on, okay, how did they do it? We don't know if our ordinance precludes it. You know, did their ordinance allow it specifically? Give us an idea what it looks like and how we might move forward with it.
I think Aubrey's volunteering to be the ad hoc committee of
You
one.
gonna go to Bridgeport and take some pictures for us? You gonna go to Bridgeport, take some pictures for us?
When I worked for the city of Torrington, the owner of Carbone's Market, when he sold the business, out of respect for him, they named the street Oak Avenue after him, Tony Carbone, whatever avenue or whatever it was. But the sign was a different color as the street sign, so it was a blue sign.
So they never physically changed the
They never
street.
physically, because then you're
They
messing with people's
honor it.
addresses.
Yep.
Which is not a problem on New Street, but still, if you do a blue sign and then, you know, it's like they said, it's an honor to.
So I know the other
It won't
question
affect
that
anything.
come up for me, I know when you put stuff on state property, they get kind of cranky sometimes and they take your signs. We would need to make sure that they're not gonna jack our signs as soon as we put them up.
Well, if we put it on the other end of it,
Stay away from the bridge.
stay away from the bridge, you should have no problem.
And I
Stay
believe-
off of Old Route 8 and go on the other end, Moore Avenue
See
side.
what the right of ways
Moore
are.
Avenue and then down on Route 8. And I believe the name is supposed to be Medal of Honor, because there's Medal of Honor recipients in town, if I remember Mr. Knoll speaking.
Was that, or was it something to do with Purple Heart? Go ahead.
Listen, I think anything that you could do for the veterans is wonderful. What he was saying with Lady Jonathan is very, very, very nice. You asked about Bridgeport, so 37 years in the fire department, so, and then a battalion car. And so I can tell you specifically, and also with CAT, those signs, which there's 30, maybe 40, they have these double signs, they're exactly the same. It creates an amount of confusion, it's unbelievable, because people reporting fires, emergencies, see that sign, and they start calling it in. The problem is that that sign's not official, it's just a sign.
Right.
So now, people are not using the right sign, they're using the wrong sign. It happens all the time.
So-
when you start putting a sign above or below, just keep in mind that people are gonna say, that's the street that I'm on, and that's not true. Now, New Street's not a big deal because there's no houses on it. I'm just letting you know what Bridgeport did.
I'm guessing that this won't be the only request, though. New Street will be the beginning of
Yeah.
more than one, and we have to be aware, imagine you're calling in a 911 emergency and you look at the bottom sign, that's the first thing you see. So I would just like to have some more research for this board so that we understand how it would work, what some of the pitfalls have been in other communities. We're all on the same page.
Bringing public safety to see what their comment is, I would think the big distinction between Bridgeport and us is the size. We don't have, hundreds and hundreds of roads, so that's a completely different issue. I think that if we're doing one sign or a handful of signs, that we're doing these honor areas on, our police department and fire department would be able to figure it out.
Look, I love the idea of honoring them. I just want to make sure we do something that's not going to confuse people and we're calling in emergencies with the wrong road names and that sort of thing.
And how would we put some kind of limit or criteria, because, then the next person's gonna come in and want, someone else honored, and how do we then deal with that?
So the ordinance does kind of address that. So you need to have a petition to change the name. The Board of Selectmen needs to create a naming committee. So there are some safeguards, but like you both said, where do we draw the line? And then naming standards.
Yeah, no facility shall be named for any racial, ethnic, religious group or organization. Facilities should not be named for individuals still living and except as deemed worthy of such recognition by the Board of the Selectmen due to outstanding contributions to the town. So there's some standards, but right now to have to follow this process for something like what we're talking about is rigorous.
But I mean,
So,
even
Mr. Mayor, there's one more possible solution here, and if I'm under the impression correctly, Winchester is New Street, right? We discussed, the bridge is not, the bridge is state property, correct?
Correct.
Because it
We
goes
looked that up.
over Route 8?
Yep. Correct.
We could drag in J Case and request that the state name the bridge. So it would still stay New Street, but the bridge would be dedicated to the veterans.
Is that the?
And
Dale
that keeps
Cox?
Winchester
I thought
right out of
Dale
it.
Cox was down further.
That's farther down.
Yeah.
Because I know for us, we can't change the name within 10 years once it's changed. So as long as it's not named for him already,
Yeah, I think it's down
that wouldn't be an issue.
I'd like to just go back to something that was debated on, I didn't get to chime in, but this is, thinking outside the box. So I understand when you have two street signs on a pole, it gets very confusing. So if we think outside of the box and we wanted to do something to memorialize our Purple Heart recipients, what if the sign was on the ground? And by on the ground, where it's a sign on the ground where, it's
Yeah, not a,
wood sign, not a street sign, right?
Right, but-
So now it's,
Monument sign.
thank you, that was the word I was looking for, monument sign. Couldn't come up with that one. Again, just thinking outside the box, does that confuse people? I don't know. When you're driving, you do look at, the signs above.
So doing it that
Again.
way, if you take Route 8 in Bridgeport is named after a particular colonel, I forget the name, but it's the, Colonel so-and-so Memorial Highway is the southern.
John Darcy right up there.
John
where he
Darcy,
got the
yeah,
name.
on this end.
Right, so somehow the state takes those interstate highways and they name them, and they don't change it, it's no longer Route 8, it's still Route 8, but they give it some sort of monument sort of name. maybe we can explore, to your point, having that monument sign that says this is the so-and-so Memorial Road, even though it's still
Or
New Street.
even New Street is dedicated to those who have received the Purple Heart. Winston residents who received the Purple Heart, so it's not a street, it's an actual sign. The city of Hartford has a lot of signs on buildings
I think some of
throughout.
the roads too.
Yeah,
Just trying to
and
remember.
like the Bob Steele Memorial plaque, which is an interesting idea, is you're not dealing with changing a street name, but you're dedicating a existing street, or rededicating.
I'm sure back in '86 they had something with the Whalers. Everybody remember?
Possibly.
One-
Although I've never seen
Red-
one of
Red-
those in downtown.
Should be the Chuck Hayton, you know, road.
I know my marching orders, and just as somebody that likes to fill his head full of stuff, I'm excited to learn what I find down in these honorary memorial, you know.
Yeah.
And I know what you're looking for. You and I could team up.
Yeah, may I add one more thing too? Mr. Mayor? I just also remember too, in the state of Oklahoma, there's like two major highways, Interstate 35 and Interstate 40. And there's like different sections of those highways here throughout the state that were just put on there with just names like, you know, like the World War II Veterans Highway. One was the Korean War Veterans Highway, and so forth and so on. So maybe instead of like the street sign itself or whatnot, you know, to your idea of like a monument sign, maybe at either end of the street, you could say the Winchester, Connecticut Veterans Memorial Street or something like that, you know, as people turn on that street from either way. But I can look into it, you know,
Yeah,
stuff with you.
well, let's.
And I do think we need to clarify this ordinance at some point.
If you want to have Kevin read the ordinance, but exactly what is convenience and necessity, what falls under that definition?
Want to do it? I want Kevin to look at it? Okay.
Please.
Yes.
Should reach out to Mr. Canal too, make sure that the direction we're going is what he was looking for.
Yeah, and the name, I thought he said Medal of Honor, but Veterans Memorial, they were catching
I thought he
everybody.
mentioned Purple Heart.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did specifically mention Purple Heart.
Purple Heart.
I do like the idea of naming bridges. I mean, that could actually perhaps, since it's not renaming the street, it could perhaps help emergency responders more precisely locate things, because it's another named thing that could be on, you know,
Yeah, that's a
locatable.
whole state thing, so that would almost, we'd get it done, but it would become only drawback there is it would probably be about 9 years before the state got around to actually.
Do we not
doing
own
that.
any of the bridges?
I do not.
Yeah, they all fall under federal or state, which is a good thing because they pay to get them fixed. So that is a good
don't
thing.
want that.
We don't
You
want
see a lot of,
bridges.
police-
Isn't there a Purple Heart program? Because I've been through other towns where you're driving around and there's just a sign up with a Purple Heart.
Torrington is the Purple Heart town. so.
Yeah.
You'll
What's
see a
involved
lot
in
of
that?
state police officers named after bridges because they work for the.
Yeah, that's the state as
deceased,
well.
state
They, all
police
down
officers.
Route 8, you see the bridges named after
Right.
certain troopers and.
Does one of the board want to reach out to our Hartford delegation to ask about the bridge, or you want me
I'll
to?
take care of that.
You got it?
So, not putting that on my list.
But you're gonna do the research on the rest of it.
Yes, yes, plenty of other.
It probably wouldn't
yes.
hurt to reach out to
Okay.
the police and the fire chief to just get a little take on that.
We've,
You kind of
so
talked.
we've had an initial conversation. We have a lot of new officers that have started, and we have new officers that start, you know, throughout. These new officers are heavily relying on their, you know, system in their car of how to get to emergency response. So there was, I don't want to say pushback by any means, but there was definitely strong words of this could have big implications on
Yes, yes.
response times.
If you
So,
actually change the name
if you,
of the
yeah,
road.
yeah.
Well, the
We also-
exit numbers on highways were because of GPS. The exit number changes.
And they still leave the old one up, which I never
Yeah,
understood.
You also need to include the public works director, so you might as well ask him if, do you have any opinion on it? Does it bother you in any way?
This is the first I heard of it, so I'd rather think about it before answering.
Because it says in the ordinance that it has to go through you too.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice, but
I have my marching orders for sure.
All right, moving on to item D, discussion on the Wallens Hill Mountainside property.
Mayor, just give me 1 second. I gotta put my other.
Do you want to take a 5?
No, I don't need 5 unless the board needs 5.
I would take 5. Can we,
We can keep going.
we have a 5 recess?
All right, we'll take 5, so be back at 8:42.
What's wrong? I was in my zone.
Ah, there you go. We're back from recess at 8:44. Item D, discussion on the Wallens Hill Mountainside properties. Town Manager Harrington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll report to the board that all of the proposals are now listed on the town's website, along with the Goman in York. So if you are watching at home and you're interested in potentially looking at the 3 proposals that were submitted to the town, we have listed them on the town's website, along with, we did bring in Goman in York, who put together a roughly 10-page report that literally breaks down each of those proposals. I did ask Goman in York to be here tonight. Unfortunately, they did have a scheduling conflict. They asked if they were to attend what other information you would like. They felt that their report listed everything, and they would just be regurgitating the report that they all gave to you. I'm sure you all have had time to look at the proposals and read the report. I'm recommending that at a meeting to be scheduled, probably not a Board of Selectmen meeting, we bring each of the developers in for a 15 or 20-minute proposal of each. And of course, the public is invited to that as well, so they can hear. Potentially a window of a 15 to 20-minute questions that you may all have for the developers as well. I believe the proposals were all very full of information. You notice what each one of the proposals said is that we would have to negotiate a contract. And the information that gets put into the contract is important because they may be looking at huge abatements and some may be looking at smaller abatements. My recommendation is not only bringing in the 3 developers, but to go back to them and ask them for a 1-pager of not agreeing to any of it, right? But asking them what they would be looking at from the town in terms of if they were the selected developer. What does your abatement scale look like? What does this TIF district look like? And by the way, they use the word TIF, that's Tax Incremental Financing District. We would need to create a TIF. We would then, what they're asking for, and this is the Carabetta proposal, they would then use the town to back the actual money that they would borrow for the projects. It was created by Michael and Andrade, a TIF district. Several communities have them. We currently do not have a TIF district in town. Those are my recommendations to the board, but I obviously leave it open to all of you and what you would like the next steps to be in terms of vetting these 3 proposals out.
I'm curious, Paul, what the appetite of the board is for all 3 developers. I mean, I'd be interested in talking to 2 of them, but not all 3. I don't know what, again.
So I'm gonna ask a question based on what you just said about the TIF district. Do we as a board have an appetite to guarantee the money for any one of these projects?
No.
So that kind of takes the one with the TIF sort of out of contention, does it not? Carabetta's, that takes them out of contention.
I would agree.
I agree.
Well, I think everything is a negotiation. So I don't know if we want to disqualify anyone at this stage,
I think
but
we
it may be a hard pill to swallow.
Sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I think we should have all 3 of them come in and talk, just like by the recommendation of the town manager, and see what they all have to say, and then we can kind of, baby step it a little bit and figure out what everybody really kind of thinking and heading, because I'm not sure what everybody's thinking here. I know what I'm thinking, but not what everybody else is, and what we're looking for the town and help to grow the town. So I definitely, let's have them come in, step from there.
What I would like to do is keep this project moving. I don't want to be sitting here a year from today going, which one of these 3 are we going to pick?
And then maybe lose someone.
Yeah, I'd like to move this along at a reasonable pace.
May I offer up, and this is completely, talking outside because we haven't talked to any of them. We did mention that, the step that I would like to see is they each come in and make the presentation. I'm looking at the calendar right now. We are off until July 6th. I don't think we should do this on a Board of Selectmen night, it could be lengthy. You could potentially look at the 29th, that Monday. I don't know if you're falling into potential vacations or not, but this is a big project, and I think a developer should be here. Is the 29th, is it that Thursday, the 25th, town hall's open late?
I can't do Thursdays.
You can't do Thursdays,
Neither
okay.
can I can't do that.
So that's out. How is the 29th as, and I'll update the board, we'll reach out.
29th of July.
June 29th, going off of what Selectman Marino said, move this thing.
I agree.
It's our bye week, as I like to say, because there's 5 Mondays in May, or excuse me, in June.
What time would you have it on that Monday?
It's
'Cause I have
6 o'clock,
school
7
that
o'clock?
Monday, I won't be in town till.
I'm not in town the 29th either. 29th or 30th.
About the 30th,
I'm gone.
Tuesday. I'll also note, and I already know what the board's gonna say, but I'm just gonna check this box. We'll also make it available, obviously, on our cable and our YouTube channel. So if residents can't make it, it will be taped, and they can either watch it at home or watch it at their
Do
convenience.
we have enough time to do it next Monday?
I mean, you're asking to put together a presentation?
Aren't these the presentations?
Next Monday I can't do. We have an RRDD1 meeting,
Let's go for the 30th. Can everybody do the 30th?
Tuesday the 30th.
I'm gone the 29th and 30th.
How about July 1st?
A Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
I can do July 1st.
Anybody else have an issue?
Time. Let's go time and date.
Yeah, as long as it's later at night, I can do it.
7, 6?
Can you do 6?
6, I can do it.
6, July 1st?
July 1st?
Okay.
For now, would this be one, or can we have 2 in an evening?
I was gonna go all
All
three.
3?
I was
Yeah,
gonna go
okay,
all
great.
three.
No, that's
20-minute presentation, max 20 minutes, we'll time them, we'll cut them out, and then we'll say that, you know,
15 minutes.
don't,
Well, we used your 20-minute,
well, you should,
How about we do
I'm
30?
trying to always make it shorter because we are, like we said, we have a lot of information.
you have a lot.
For them to do a presentation, which we received the presentation.
Correct.
It's more about, I think their role is more to answer questions. That,
Yeah, and-
you know, and we could suggest, I would suggest that if the community members have questions, they could submit them versus email. So we don't, you know, we can ask those questions and make sure, and it may be redundant questions, so that might be a way of handling that in the most efficient manner possible.
And I maybe piggyback off Selectman Marino's statement, does anybody have an appetite for the TIF? I would present them with that question up front, that developer, and say, there's no appetite for that, do you still want to come in and give, you willing to change your proposal? Because if you're not, and you're saying, no, we have to have the TIF, then there, I mean, unless there is an appetite to hear that presentation,
I
but
think we need to hear them all.
Yeah,
Whether or
so
not
out
we
of
accept
courtesy.
it is a different.
So we want to do that sheet, ask them to give us that sheet.
So, one page, maybe not one, but a one-pager of, tell us what you need the town to potentially do, we're not agreeing to any of it, that you, and I'll get it to you before that meeting, so then you may ask questions, you know, I'll get that to you at least a week before, right?
Publish it.
Publish it, yep. So then you can ask questions exactly of, hey, you're looking for an abatement for the next 25 years, you know? I just throw that, I don't know, you know, but, seems like we have consensus, we'll televise it, YouTube it, June 6th, 6 PM.
July 6th.
July, sorry.
July
1st.
6th PM.
I'm literally looking at July 1st on my paper, too.
Get the 6th off of here before
Yeah,
you
that's-
goof yourself up
yeah,
with
that's
that. Yeah,
fine.
So it'll
okay.
be a special meeting for that purpose. It has to be a special meeting.
Yeah, okay, I agree. Yeah, I'm just, yeah, because you guys are all gonna meet, so you can't meet without a meeting,
That's right.
special meeting.
You should know that.
What time is it? It's not that late.
It's 9.
Not that late.
Anything else on the property? All right. July 1st, 6 PM. Item E, 26-29, line item transfer, Town Manager Harrington.
Hold on, give me 2 seconds to catch up with everybody. Okay, let me get through it. You're in,
26-29.
EDC.
Oh, because it's action step, and I'm looking at the top, it's transfer 2026-19. This is coming from our EDC commission. They are looking to move money from their memberships and dues and putting it into outside services and marketing. If you hadn't had the opportunity and potentially stream any type of TV shows, our Winstead video is being aired on that little, 30-second, 20-second. They are doing a phenomenal job with that video that, you all agreed to do. And they are taking it and creating commercials on Facebook, other social media channels, and people that are streaming on there. And this is just money within their own budget. They're not gonna use the $450. They wanna throw even more money at marketing our town.
So by recommendation of the town manager, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-29, budget transfer 2026-19, totaling $450.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? Item 26-30, line item transfer.
So this transfer is what we're looking to do is clean up some of the year end where we know we're running a deficit in some of these lines and moving out of lines where we know we have money. We're looking to transfer money out of debt administration into other shared costs, telephone and contract services. Telephone and contract services, we really messed up on the budget. We were looking to potentially save a lot more money on those particular lines, and they ended up not actually coming through. So we're looking to move $56,000, which will not be spent in debt administration, into those two line items to put those line items at zero.
We don't have that same issue in our current budget. Did we fix that?
We fixed that, yes. Oh, yes, we fixed it.
By recommendation of the town manager, I move the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-30 budget transfer 2026-20 totaling $56,276.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Item 26-31, line item transfer, Town Manager Harrington.
This one comes from our town clerk's office. He's looking to move money out of the maintenance of books and maps and vital statistics into the office supply line. He wants to buy a digital stamp machine, so when the agenda goes in, it digitally stamps the time and the date on it as well. I've seen a lot of towns use them. Surprised that we actually didn't have one here when I first came here, but this way there's no way of not knowing when an agenda or anything was put into the clerk's office.
By recommendation of the town manager, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-31, budget transfer 2026-21, totaling $810.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous. 26-32, line item transfer, Town Manager Harrington.
We have some extra money in our sand line. We don't believe we're going to need any additional sand this year because the weather has actually broken, and Mr. Rollins said he'd like to get a jump on some pipes and manholes and replenish the stock that is depleted, and beginning work on fixing some pipes and manholes around town.
By recommendation of the town manager, I move the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-32 budget transfer 2026-22 totaling $5,200.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? Town Manager and Public Works Director are in trouble if we need more salt this year.
I would say
All
so.
in favor?
I'm in trouble too.
I don't control the weather.
Or maybe by
Unanimous.
November, December, they might. New budget.
26-33, line item transfer, Town Manager Harrington.
So these two line items are slightly overspent from our senior center. Obviously, our Director Jen Kelly does a phenomenal job with our seniors. We've overspent the healthy aging programs and the maintenance of structure line. We did get a windfall that the vehicle that was vandalized, the actual insurance company is not actually going to require deductible. Yes. So that was a huge win for us. So we have $2,300 in maintenance vehicles won't be spent, so we were looking to zero out the line items that were just a little bit overspent from our senior center.
By recommendation of the town manager, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-33, budget transfer 2026-23 totaling $2,300.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
26-34, line item transfer, Town Manager Harrington.
I call this the transfer because they are watching Board of Selectmen meeting, that the Land Use Department is requesting $5,000 to put into their office supply because Planning and Zoning and Inland Wetlands is looking to go digital with all of their paper that they receive at meetings. This will be a computer that goes to all of the land use boards. We'll log them in, and instead of printing out stacks and stacks of paper, they'll have it electronically. We brought in our IT company. We were able to do that. They are not going to go home with them. They are going to be here, but instead of printing out a ton of paper to give to each of them, they'll be able to pull up everything. The only item that won't be digital, it'll be digital, but it is on the applicant, is the big plans. They have to submit plans to each of the board members anyways. I've talked to several of the board members. They like to be able to touch those plans, but all of the other stuff, and it's a lot of paper, it's all gonna be digitized, which is a huge savings for the town, because we pay every page we print. So,
By recommendation of the town manager, I move the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-34 budget transfer 2026-24 totaling $5,000.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Unanimous. 26-25, line item transfer.
this was the added item. This is two line items that we know are not gonna be expended by the end of the year. We're looking to purchase office equipment. We do need to set up a hearing officer room, plus we're looking to use the old Board of Ed space for more meeting stuff, so we're looking to bring in some office furniture and replace some of the office furniture that's around our town hall as well.
Just for clarification, what number are we using?
So it's 26,
26-25.
It says 37 on
Yeah,
here.
37 here.
On some of them.
No, okay, so, there's an action step, and then there's an actual budget transfer number. So the budget transfer number is fiscal year 26-25. You've taken 37 action steps this calendar year,
Some of the other ones were the action step numbers.
but you have 36 down here, which is the suspense list.
Gotcha.
So then you go to
So
37.
is this to update, I mean, is there office supplies or desks that need to be replaced, or we just want to try and make?
There are
it
some desks
pretty?
that need to be replaced, some chairs that need to be replaced. We are looking at potentially changing out the table in the blue room as well. As you, I guess, I got yelled at once before, but I am looking to get us into the newer age of furniture around town hall as well.
That's a great table.
Wait, did you like the
Just,
bench?
yeah, I'm just looking at where can we save a little money here and there. If we don't need to replace something like that, why are we?
Yeah, a lot, and some of the stuff will be repurposed. Some of the stuff does need to be replaced. I can keep the table in there as
So
well.
what do you do, well, I'm just saying, so if you replace that table, where is it gonna go?
That table potentially could go up into the old Board of Ed room. We've thought about potentially bringing EDC to have their meetings in that room as well. Also a great meeting room when you want to lay out plans and, you know, you don't want to be down here, you don't want to be, just another meeting space, so.
Okay, so
Just
not
looking at
putting it
ma-
on the curb.
No. If anything, it's in our closet called the Bank of America building. I haven't thrown out one piece of furniture.
Okay, which raises another question we're gonna maybe talk about is, you know, maybe auctioning that stuff off and getting rid of the stuff that we don't need in there, making a little money off of that.
Love that idea. I was afraid when I originally were gonna change these chairs over from the old benches that we had in here. I was fearful of doing anything with those, because the symbolic value of what they had to a lot of townspeople, so we put them over at the Bank of America building.
Buy it and
But
put it on their porch,
if,
you know?
if you all are okay, I can get an inventory list, we can look at it, and you all tell me what you want to auction off or potentially sell, fine, I'll get an inventory list.
Anyone else with me on that? So I like that.
All right, well, let's
Do
do
it up.
the auction.
Okay, sorry.
Line
Oh, sorry.
item 26-34. Is there a motion?
By recommendation of the town manager, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the above action step 26-37, budget transfer for 2026-25, totaling $8,112.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous? Put together your inventory list. Item 26-35, refunds is recommended by the Collector of Revenue. Town Manager Harrington.
As you see, our tax collector is recommending in the amount of $2,282.05. Couple of them are corrections, a couple of them are overpayments, and personal property audits as well.
Do we have a motion?
I move the Board of Selectmen authorize the refunds recommended by the Collector of Revenue in the amount of $2,282.05.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Item 26-36, the municipal suspense tax list from the Collector of Revenues. Town Manager Harrington.
Something that this town and every other town in the state of Connecticut, every year they do a suspense list. It's anything that is now 15 years. It is still collectible. The debt doesn't go away. State law says that after 15 years, you do have to suspend it. So this is our yearly suspense list in the amount of $26,416.10. Again, still a collectible tax, but it's gone to 15 years and state law requires us to put it on a suspense list. And interest is still accruing.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the Town of Winchester suspense list.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Paul, are any of these properties potential tax sale properties? Possibly.
I do not want to answer that question.
It looked like motor vehicle.
A lot looks like.
Yeah, a lot of it's gonna be motor vehicle. Yeah, a lot of it's motor vehicle, so probably not.
Okay. All in favor? Favor? Unanimous? We need signatures.
Oh, yes, there's a document going around that you all need to sign.
26-03, resolution awarding Bridge Street intersection bid to Yield Industries Incorporated. Town Manager Harrington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just gotta get to my sheet now. So as you probably remember, we did get $830,000 grant from the state of Connecticut. I think it was Community Investment Fund to rework Bridge Street. We did go to a public hearing probably a year ago. At the time, those plans were going to be closing off Bridge Street to one lane. You could only go up, you couldn't come down. We went back to the drawing board. I do apologize if you're using the printed copy. Bridge Street is going to remain completely open, four-way intersection. Traffic's gonna flow every way. This is the plan that the engineers came up with the mindset of everything that was talked about at the public hearing. I'll mention that we did go out to bid on this particular project because the state's ringing us that this project needs to be done by April 2027 in order for us to be able to collect the grant. If the project's not done by April, we're gonna lose out on almost $1 million. Let's not do that. So before you tonight is a resolution 2603, which awards the Bridge Street intersection bid to Yield Industries.
Paul, is this the same intersection where we did the
Yep.
painting and the
Yes.
cones
Yes,
and
it
all that
is.
fun
Yes.
stuff? And
Yes.
now we're gonna just go ahead and do it without even doing a second experiment, painting it and all of that?
Because we're not actually changing the flow of traffic. The bigger project that we want to take on as Bridge Street is if you know that that road leaks and then ices, the majority of this money is going to fix that problem so we no longer have that ice issue anymore. At the end of the day, you can see on your plans, intersections are being bumped out so the flow of traffic moves a little bit better. You'll see traffic. But I needed to address the bigger issue, which is the icing up there, because the phones ring constantly in the wintertime, and the amount of salt and sand that we have to put out there is big, so.
Well, this is really, you're gonna wanna try and get this done before winter hits, not even April.
I would love to be able to get that done, yes.
Now, okay, so we leave this, the resolved?
If you want, you can just do a motion to approve resolution 26-03, award of the Bridge Street intersection bid to Yield Industries, and we'll include this into the minutes.
What he said.
So,
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not comfortable voting on this because I wanted to see this, I mean, there should be a presentation for the public for this plan. I mean, I don't see anything on here that addresses the parking for the package store. It looks like the sidewalks are smaller on the right-hand side than they are at the bottom. I mean, this is, you know, this was a big thing, and we're gonna make a decision on something that we didn't even talk about. We were not involved in any of this.
So you're involved now?
Well,
But
yeah, but this is, you know.
two things, parking for the package store. Again, I think this goes back to what Mr. Rollins said, you really can't use public funds to address a private resident or a private business. You know, if you put a parking lot in for one, you'll have to put a parking lot in for everybody.
So that it's
Increased
okay to park
parking.
on the sidewalk and not make a little strip so they can park on the side of the road? I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's always been a problem there, so we're not addressing that issue.
It sounds like all we're addressing here is the water, is that correct?
And we're addressing the flow of the traffic as well. We're not addressing parking, that wasn't what we went out for the grant for. The grant was to go out and address the traffic there and also address the flooding that goes on.
I'm just gonna ask a question. We had a public hearing about that intersection when we did the painted lines and the cones and all that stuff. And there was a lot of public input. And I think, to Troy's point, we're gonna act on this intersection without getting any public input. Maybe we need to think about that. I realize we're under a time frame to get the money.
You're gonna back me hard. And listen, you know I am fully about any meeting bringing in the public. Again, when we sat down with the engineers and then we ultimately sat down with Yield Industries, the overall intersection itself is still going to flow the way it's going to flow, right? The biggest comment that we had is I'm gonna clean up the language, you're crazy that you're going to now make Bridge Street one way. That was the loudest complaint that we've got. This does not close Bridge Street into a one-way
It does
traffic going up
fix
there.
the issue
But
that
this-
led to that decision,
That is correct.
which is the icing.
That is correct, ma'am.
So
But
this
we did-
fixes that, but it keeps the same flow of traffic.
Correct.
That people were
Yes.
complaining about that
Yep.
it changed.
It creates a little bit more pedestrian friendly. You can see, obviously, there's crosswalks out there. There's a little bit of the bump out to help you get into that crosswalk area. That was the notion behind the Community Investment Fund, is to create a little bit more of a walking intersection, and obviously to deal with the flooding, icing that goes on up there. I hear you, and I understand the board's comments, but when I'm looking at a potential loss of $1 million, I do everything I can to make sure we get the $1 million. But it's the board's pleasure on what they want to do.
So this plan, though, is answering, this is an example of like there being a public hearing and us listening to the public and changing the plan accordingly, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Everything
So
that was
this
said
is
at the
the
public.
result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is the problem here, because we've had plenty of time since the public hearing on this street, to go over this again, and now we're being pushed to the envelope because we're gonna lose funds. So we're being forced to make a decision on something that we didn't even get presented in front of us.
And I guess the way Troy put it the first time, we're not creating parking for the package store. We're creating town parking spots. I mean, if somebody's going to business across the street and Main Street's full, they could park there. Technically, it's not for the package store. But we did get a lot of complaints because people try to get up to Pine Lake after work, and you got a van here with 6 ladders on it, and you got a truck on this side of the road, and they leave one path in the middle.
That is a problematic spot.
So the grant was not written was written to increase parking. That was not part of any of the grants. So when we increase, in keeping in mind that we know that there's a few comments that were brought up. These plans are pretty much hot off of the press. You know how impossible it is to get an engineer to draw out plans. Engineers are booked up. So the comment of we waited, we are also at the mercy of engineers to draw out plans, right? The second that these plans got done, which was not so long ago, we immediately went out to bid to see, are these plans even doable in terms of the money that we have available? Came back, and I can tell you that this was a well-bidded project. Some of the bids that came in, we would have been reaching into our pocket to fix this intersection.
What is the cost of this project?
Just under
$700.
I thought we only had 800,000 for the project.
So if you look into next year's, the budget that's going to begin on July 1st, one of the capital projects that are in there was to put money in case we had to reach into our pocket.
So we are reaching into our pocket.
We are reaching into our pocket for a small amount of money, yeah, it was in the capital projects.
So with the concern about the parking that was just expressed, you know, maybe, you know, which wouldn't require a change of plan, wouldn't require going out to bid, just make it, you know, park it on one side. And then you don't have that situation, you've got a van here and someone here. You just make it one side that they can park, the side of the package store, and the other side would be no parking. So we don't have that issue, and we don't, you know, it's not expensive, you know, and it solves that issue for people who are driving by the package store.
When it comes down to changing a road, no parking on a sign, that's local traffic authority, that's me and the chief of police, we get signs out there tomorrow.
Yeah.
We gotta do a little bit of study, but.
I'm just saying, but that's, you know, that's a
That's
simple,
a
it's a
solution.
town road, you know, and that it resolves that problem, because it is, I mean, I see the problem on Wetmore when the school's let out, you know, there's, you know, one lane from parents who are picking up their kids. But, you know, I understand, so I totally understand the concern. But, you know, I don't think that the issue with parking for the liquor store, which wasn't addressed in the grant, is a justification for not proceeding with this and taking the risk that we're not gonna get this done in time and lose all that money.
And doing what you said wouldn't change this plan, right?
Not at all.
No, that's simple.
And there's really no structural changes to the intersection, the way I look at this.
You're
There's
bumping
some-
out,
there's some
and
bump outs.
there's some bump outs,
No
it's,
significant
no,
structural changes.
yeah, and it still costs $1 million, that's but it's the flooding and all that, so, again,
So we fix the water, we make it slightly safer, is that what?
and it doesn't cost us $1 million, but we get to, you know, and the other thing you wanna keep in mind, when you apply for a grant and you get the grant and you don't act on the grant, the next grant you go for, the state of Connecticut or any of these other agencies, don't look at you as favorable. I see EDC's, well, are you gonna be able to do it? Cause they make a big deal out of it, and they wanna see results with
Are
that.
they gonna pave all this?
Oh, yeah, oh, yes.
We're gonna pave some.
Something gets made.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments from the board? All right, seeing nothing else, is there a motion?
It was.
There was a
Yeah, there was
motion.
a motion and a
Now
second.
we
We're in
And it was seconded, yeah.
Move the motion.
All in favor? Opposed? 6-1. The resolution is approved. Item, you come with us, pardon me,
What's item?
your review.
Allow me to.
Item 12, executive session to discuss the town manager's review and the tentative agreement with the police contract. Taking with us town manager Harrington. Can I have a motion to go into executive session at 9:17?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? are back from executive session at 9:52 PM. Do we have a motion? Item 13, new business, discussion, possible action regarding the town manager's review. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I would move that after conducting the town manager review, I move that we accept the addendum to the town manager's contract, effective, what date?
April 22nd, 2024.
April 22nd.
Oh, sorry, 2026.
2026.
April 26th.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. I will add that the review was a positive review. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous? Congratulations. Item B, discussions regarding tentative agreement with the police contract. Town Manager Harrington.
As talked about, that we did a one-year rollover with the police department. The essence of the one-year rollover is a 2.85% increase in pay for fiscal year starting July 1st. One additional personal day, and premium health share would remain the same as it is right now, which is at 21.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Is that close enough?
Close enough, right?
Motion to approve the tentative agreement
Okay.
between the town of Winchester, UPSU unit number 330.
What Paul said.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Item 14, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers be limited to 3 minutes and may speak once. Does anyone wish to speak? Item 15, selectmen's comments and reports. Does anyone have anything?
Not
I just-
tonight.
I'd just like to congratulate Keegan Connolly and Evan Dayton for the King and Queen, being crowned King and Queen of the Laurel Commission thing there.
And the runner-ups were Ethan Cavagiani and Daisy
Yes.
Leach.
Thank you, because I couldn't say that name.
Anyone have anything else?
I just wanted to say that the very first ever meeting of the Cultural District Commission will be on June 25th, Thursday at 7 PM in this room. Welcome anybody to attend.
With that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Thank you, everybody.
July 1st.
Special meeting July 1st, 6 PM here. We'll get emails out to everybody tomorrow. Actually, it's better than I thought it would be.
10 o'clock?
Yeah, I thought we'd be